A year ago, the ratio of tab autocomplete users to AI agent users at Cursor was 2.5 to 1 in favor of autocomplete. Today, that ratio has completely flipped. Agent users outnumber tab users 2 to 1. 35% of all merged pull requests at the $50 billion company are now written entirely by autonomous AI agents running on cloud virtual machines. And this week, OpenAI released the open-source infrastructure to let any team do the same thing. Two major developments just landed that show us where software development is heading, and the trajectory is steep. On March 5, 2026, OpenAI open-sourced a framework called Symphony. It's a system for orchestrating autonomous coding agents, not one agent helping you write a function, but fleets of agents independently picking up tasks, writing code, running tests, and merging pull requests without a human touching the keyboard. Symphony is built on Elixir and the Beam virtual machine, which is a deliberate and unusual choice. Most AI agent frameworks are written in Python. OpenAI went with Elixir because of the Beam's concurrency model and OTP supervision trees, which allow Symphony to manage hundreds of isolated agent processes simultaneously with built-in fault tolerance. When one agent crashes, say it generates invalid code, the supervision tree restarts that agent with the error context and lets it retry. Meanwhile, every other agent keeps working, unaffected. In a Python-based system, that kind of failure often takes down the whole pipeline, or requires manual intervention. The workflow is structured around what OpenAI calls implementation runs. Symphony pulls an issue tracker, currently defaulting to linear, identifies tasks that are ready for an agent, and spins up a sandboxed workspace for each one. Each agent works in isolation from production code. When it finishes, it has to provide what OpenAI calls proof of work before anything merges, passing CI tests, a PR walkthrough, and status checks. If those requirements aren't met, the code doesn't ship. Agent behavior is version controlled through a workflow, MD file stored directly in the repository. That means the instructions the AI follows are treated like code, versioned, reviewed, and synced with the branch it's modifying. The entire framework is surprisingly lean, about 258 lines of Elixir, and it ships under the Apache 2.0 license. OpenAI already has codecs for single-agent coding tasks. Symphony is going after something different, multi-agent orchestration, where the human operates at the project management level, not the code level. Symphony matters because it's infrastructure, not a product demo. OpenAI isn't showing you a chatbot that can write a function. They're releasing the plumbing that lets teams run autonomous development at scale. The proof-of-work model is the critical design decision. By requiring passing tests, CI status, and PR walkthroughs before any code merges, Symphony creates a trust boundary that doesn't depend on a human reviewer reading every line. If the tests pass, the code ships. That's a radical position. It means a 3-person startup could theoretically run dozens of parallel development streams, with the humans spending their time writing good issues and good tests rather than writing code. UBS has already flagged Symphony as a signal that AI is shifting beyond chat interfaces into production workflows. And the choice to open source it under Apache 2.0 means this isn't locked inside OpenAI's ecosystem. Any team with Elixir experience can fork it, extend it, and build on it. The Elixir requirement is a real barrier. The ecosystem is much smaller than Python's, but the architectural advantages for this specific use case are significant. Fault-tolerant, concurrent, hot reloadable agent supervision is exactly what you need when you're running hundreds of long-lived coding processes. Right now, Symphony only officially supports OpenAI models. Anthropic and Google integrations exist, but they're community contributed and incomplete. Watch for how quickly the open-source community fills those gaps. Also watch the API. OpenAI says it's expected to change significantly in upcoming releases, so early adopters should expect to do some migration work. The bigger question, how many teams actually adopt a proof-of-work-only merge policy and remove human code review entirely? So OpenAI just released the framework for running autonomous coding agents at scale. But if you want to see what happens when a company actually runs that kind of workflow internally and measures the results, Cursor just published the data, and the numbers are striking. Cursor CEO and co-founder Michael Truell published a blog post and announcement declaring that software development has entered what he calls the third era. He laid out 3 distinct phases of AI-assisted programming. The first era was tab autocomplete, the kind of inline code suggestions that tools like GitHub Copilot popularized, useful for automating repetitive, low-entropy coding tasks. But the developer was still doing all the thinking and most of the typing. The second era was synchronous agents. This is the back-and-forth prompting model. You describe what you want. The agent generates code. You review it, give feedback, and iterate. The developer is still hands-on keyboard, still supervising every step. The third era, which Truell says has now arrived, is cloud-based autonomous agents. These are AI systems that run on their own virtual machines, take on larger tasks with minimal human oversight, work for hours independently, iterating, testing, debugging, and return reviewable artifacts, logs, video recordings, and live previews. The data backing this up is concrete. More than 35% of all merge pull requests at Cursor are now created by these autonomous agents running on cloud VMs. In March 2025, Cursor had roughly 2.5 times as many Tab autocomplete users as agent users. 12 months later, that ratio has completely inverted. They now have twice as many agent users as Tab users. That's a massive behavioral shift in just 1 year. To accelerate this direction, Cursor acquired 2 companies: Graphite, which builds code review and PR management tooling, and AutoTab, which specializes in agent automation. These acquisitions signal that Cursor, now valued at $50 billion, sees its future as a platform for directing autonomous agents, not just an IDE fork of VS Code. Truel described the developers adopting this workflow in specific terms. Agents write nearly 100% of their code. They spend their time breaking down problems, reviewing artifacts, and giving feedback. They spin up multiple agents simultaneously instead of guiding one to completion. This matters because it's measured behavior at scale, not a prediction. When 35% of merged PRs at a $50 billion developer tools company are agent-generated, and the user base has flipped from autocomplete dominant to agent dominant in 12 months, that's a real trend line. The implication for anyone working in software is direct. The core skill is shifting from writing code to evaluating code. Architecture decisions, problem decomposition, test design, and review quality become the things that separate effective developers from ineffective ones. Typing speed and syntax knowledge are table stakes that the agents handle. Truel himself acknowledged the obstacles. Unstable testing environments and configuration errors that a single developer might work around manually can break every autonomous agent run at scale. Giving agents reliable access to tools, dependencies, and full project context is a hard infrastructure problem. But the direction is clear. Truel suggested the synchronous agent era, the one where you're still prompting back and forth, may last less than a year before cloud-native autonomous workflows replace it entirely. The Graphite and AutoTab acquisitions tell you where the product roadmap is going. Cursor is building the full stack: agents that write the code, infrastructure that runs the agents, and review tooling that helps humans evaluate the output. Truel said he expects the vast majority of development work to be done by cloud agents within a year. That's a bold claim, but the 12-month trend line supports it. Watch for whether competing tools, Windsurf, Replit, GitHub Copilot Workspace, match these adoption numbers. And pay attention to how companies outside the AI native bubble respond. Enterprise adoption of autonomous coding agents with auto-merge capabilities will be a much harder sell, where compliance and security review are non-negotiable. The gap between AI helps me write code and AI writes code while I manage the project closed faster than almost anyone expected. If Cursor's numbers hold across the industry, the developer who thrives in 2027 looks fundamentally different from the developer who thrived in 2024. Less typist, more architect. The question worth sitting with: what does your workflow look like when writing code is the easy part? If you want to stay on top of developments like these, subscribe. We cover AI and tech news daily. See you in the next one.